friends. Welcome to our Twitter Spaces today. The world is going through a crisis, and so is India. The volatility in the market has increased, and many traders, especially in the FNO sector, are making money, and many are as well losing money. So, from Paytm Money, we have created a platform here in Twitter where every Friday we introduce you with a successful FNO trader where, based on a chosen topic, he shares his ideas and experience with us. So today's topic is momentum and trends with stock options with Gautam Majumdar. Gautam, good
Hello.
evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Peter. So along with Gautam Majumdar, we have Peter, who is our product manager, and myself, Shankho Mukherjee. I am a part of the Paytm Wealth Academy. So about Gautam Majumdar, he is a stock market veteran for close to 3 decades of experience, and he's also the owner of Chart Video. And most of you know about his profile any which ways, right? So Gautam, welcome to our show.
First of all, a big thank you for inviting me in the show. Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Shanko, as well as convey my thanks to Harsh, who had been continuously talking over me for the last 2-3 weeks. And well, बोलिए कहाँ से क्या शुरू करना है? आपके दर्शक क्या सुनना चाहते हैं?
पहला चीज तो जो हम लोग सुनना चाहते हैं आपका एक्सपीरियंस इन टर्म्स ऑफ हाउ डिड यू स्टार्ट. सी हम एक जमाने में लाइक इफ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट 10 years also, that is 1 decade, 2 decades, 3 decades back, people never could think of starting a career in trading, and you thought of that and you started it. So how did you start your trading journey?
See, I would say that as a college guy, I was jara hatke type. When being a good student, I used to finish off or understand the things in the colleges without taking any tuition. Lekin as I told you, I was a jara hatke type. What I did was I really virtually cheated my parents. बोले कि हमको ट्यूशन के लिए पैसा दीजिए, and I used to deposit it. Okay. Gradually, when I went to the engineering college, also without any coaching or whatsoever, the sum actually blew up. I mean, rather the amount was very big. और जो होना था वही हुआ. चोरी एक दिन पकड़ा जाती है तो पकड़ा गया. उसके बाद जो फिर घर में जो पिटाई वगैरह जो चलना है वो भी चला. But what my dad said was that instead of a 2-wheeler, which I had planned, I will buy a bike. So he said, you buy a 4-wheeler with your own money, and introduced me to a stockbroker. The first purchase which I did in stocks from secondary market was Tisco, now called as Tata Steel. That was way back in 1988, and I sold it during the Harshad Mehta boom. So this is the way my stock market journey began. इसको अच्छा बोलिए तो अच्छा, खराब बोलिए तो खराब.
Oh, that was amazing.
Okay. Now, well, 94 तक ऐसा चला ठीक है. मैंने off and on I used to buy stocks, sell it without knowing anything. But somewhere down the line, 94 में I visited Calcutta Stock Exchange with a stock market friend of mine, and I was really scintillated. देख के लगा कि क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पर. The thrills and the emotions packed there, वहाँ पर जो भी है. Lots of voltage, I would say it this way. तो हमको लगा कि I should make a career of this stock market. Just started the career there. But within a year and a half's time, I fell to the pit. Because मेरा लत लग गया था उस समय कि I'll be doing all sorts of gambling, rather over speculating, जो अभी बोलते हैं कि बहुत high leverage लेके ट्रेड करना, वो सब करके 1995 के दिसंबर महीना में जब वो फॉल एक छोटी सी आई, I had incurred a loss of 5 lakh rupees in that time, and I was in debt. My family was shocked, my parents were shocked, so were my friends, relatives and all. It was the end of the world for me. एकदम बहुत खराब हालत थी. But somewhere down the line, being a good student और पढ़ाई की एक इच्छा थी, तो I went through many newspapers, books were there. I went through books. I read through articles of Mr. Deepak Mohini on technical analysis in Economic Times and all. Went through various jobs. Chuki, I had to meet the ends. Landed up in Viratech in the year 2000. This changed my life because I met Mr. Dheeraj Mohinder sir there, and he showed me जे बड़ा पैसा कहाँ आता है, किस तरह से होता है, and that was the year जबकि FNO was introduced in our market, 2001. So he showed me all the strategies and all, call put क्या होती है, पूरा सिखाए थे उन्हीं ने, और at the same time financial world पर भी he introduced me in a major way. And in 2001, Dheeraj Mohinder sir told me one particular thing जो कि आज भी हमको याद आती है. During a conversation, he said that when a child goes to a zoo, he runs. He's very excited on seeing a giraffe, on seeing a lion, a zebra, monkey there, here, and whatever bait. But within 30 minutes time, the child is totally tired and just dozes off in the arms of his father. In stock market, you shouldn't behave like that child. आपको अपना खुद समझ लेने पड़ेगा व्हाट शुड बी योर टेम्परमेंट, किस तरह की ट्रेडिंग आपकी मेंटेलिटी सूट करती है, आप फाइनेंशियल रिस्क किस तरह का ले पाओगे, किस साइकोलॉजी या स्ट्रेस आप ले पाओगे, देन यू शुड प्लान टू एंटर. दिस थिंग इवन रिंग्स इन माय हेड. अनदर पर्सन ऑफ क्वाइट इंटरेस्ट उसी समय इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ, शुभदीप नंदी, यू ऑल नो. He came to me in that time when I was a technical analysis trainer in Viratech Software. He came to me, our office rather, to learn technical analysis. वहां से एक स्ट्रॉन्ग बॉन्डिंग तैयार हुई, वो आज भी है. और इसी तरह से मेरा अपना, यू कैन से इट दिस वे, एक बेसिक रन अप शुरू हुआ. बाद में when I left the job at Viratech, I did my own data vending, but somewhere from 2011, I started my own trading career. And because this data vending business was an automatic mode and it was running smoothly, so I thought of venturing out into trading again. Initially, I got a jhatka again. That was because I felt that technical analysis is enough. But what I missed out was that FNO में जो सब नया डेरिवेटिव टर्म्स आई है, I need the data. ओपन इंटरचेंज कैसे हो रही है, वोलेटिलिटी क्या हो रही है, विक्स क्या है, तो वो सब समय दैट वाज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू गेट इट. मैंने राइट नाउ इट इज अवेलेबल, मेनी कंप्यूटर एप्लीकेशंस आर देयर, मेनी पर्सन्स सेल इट आउट, बट इन दोज डेज इट वाज वेरी टफ. आई डिड ऑल दोस थिंग्स मैनुअली इन दैट टाइम. 2011 की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ. और उसके बाद धीरे धीरे चला, रास्ता ठीक है, बट 2014 ऑनवर्ड्स सक्सेस केम अप, एंड सो हियर आई एम राइट नाउ.
वाओ, सुपर, अमेजिंग जर्नी. या ग्रेट. और गौतम जी, आपका ये जर्नी देखते हैं, आपने बताया हम लोगों को आपका पूरा 1988 से आपने मार्केट पे एंट्री किया, वहां से कैसा जर्नी था. उसमें काफी बार मैंने सुना है कि आपने टेक्निकल एनालिसिस के बारे में आपने मेंशन किया था. So can you please describe how you describe technical analysis in very short manner? How you use and how you describe this?
See, if you go by the definition, identifying trend reversal at the earliest, riding a trend as a trader, that's all technical is all about. But I use a special word. Call it as sitar, SITAR, where S stands for support, I for indicator, T for trend, A for average, obviously it's moving average, and R for resistance. जैसे कि चेस में होती है ना कि चारों तरफ से घिरी हुई रहती है, किंग और क्वीन को चारों तरफ से घेरा हुआ रहता है चेस की गेम के शुरू में. Protecting the king is the most important part in chess. So just like that, in this sitar, the T is the most important thing. ट्रेंड वी शुड, मैंने जब भी हम लोग स्टॉक मार्केट की कोई भी टेक्निकल एनालिसिस करें, वी शुड फोकस ऑन द टर्म टी, दैट इज द ट्रेंड. उसको अगर ठीक से हम लोग एनालिसिस कर पाए तो देन आई वुड से दिस वे द हाफ ऑफ द वर्क इज डन. यस शंकर.
Yes, can you just elaborate a bit on the term trend here? Like, I know you do not have the liberty of explaining it in the charts here, but thoda sa bhi, like, about what you mean by trend.
let's see, काफी tough job है without the charts and all. But let's take it on the direction wise. It's very easy. It has to be either up or down or flat. इससे बाहर तो हो नहीं सकती है. So only direction wise there are three types. One is flat, down and up. लेकिन अगर हम duration wise जाए तो I would rate trend as primary, intermediate and short term trend. खास करके थोड़ा सा प्राइमरी के बारे में पहले बता देते हैं. That is our Sensex was formulated in the year 1986 और उसको extrapolate करके बाएं तरफ charts are available, data is available from 1979. If that is almost 43 years, well, 43 years is quite enough. We can analyze. In this 43 years, primary uptrend was witnessed by the stock market 14 times. Now, ये primary uptrend की क्या हम लोग रूपरेखा रखें कि at least 1 year trend run किया हो. That's a minimum 1 year. The index has doubled, like say suppose from March 2020 7,500 थी तो वहां से डबल होकर 15,000 के ऊपर है तो 18,500 हो गई थी. तो इंडेक्स हैज डबल्ड. इस ये दो क्राइटेरिया अगर मीट कर रही है तो देन आई से दैट प्राइमरी अपट्रेंड भी है. such thing has occurred for 14 times in stock market. Primary uptrend. Obviously the primary downtrend भी 14 times होगी. Given this way that this is the 14th in primary downtrend we are witnessing because we are in a downtrend till the data changes or till the chart changes. इसमें कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग चीज जरूर मिली है ये स्टडीज में. That is after every primary uptrend, two types of fall has been witnessed in the index. And now we look at Nifty. In those days, in the earlier days, we used to look at Sensex. That is the first type was पिछला रन जो भी हुआ है, पिछले राइज जो भी हुआ है, right? Let's take it this way that Nifty rose from 7,500 to 18,600. इस राइज की 60% फॉल हुई है अगला डाउन ट्रेंड में. So how much that comes to in Nifty? If that happens, it's around 12,000. Okay, that's quite a gloomy picture I'm painting. But the second thing what happened is in all those trends, this type of downtrend took place 7 times out of the 14 downtrends we are discussing. The other 7 times what happened is peak value से 20% और lose किया. That is, if I take it this way, 18,600 was on the higher side. 20% off कर दीजिए तो around 15,000 would be the level where a base might be formed. So these are the two scenarios which come up in primary downtrend. अब you'll be obviously saying that okay भाई कौन सी जाएगी, 12,000 होगी कि 15,000 में ही घूम जाएगी. Now that's very difficult to say, but if you put a gun on my head, I would say it this way कि इनिशियल पार्ट जब भी 60% गिरी है हर्षद मेहता स्कैम के बाद 2000 में 2000 it fell by 100%. 2008 it fell almost by 670 odd percent. In March 2020 same was the case. In all those cases the first fall has been very furious. 2008 from 6,300 to 4,500 was wiped out in 11 calendar days, rather 10 or 13 calendar days, 11 trading days.
Yes.
इस तरह के फ्यूरियस फॉल ये अपने को पहली वाली जो गिर रही थी बाजार जो कि अक्टूबर महीना में गिरी थी, we did not witness that way. The furious fall, your Nifty fell from 18,600 to around 16,400. But it took almost 2 months time ये टोटल गिरने में. बट वो फ्यूरियसनेस जो 2008 में थी कि 8th of January it was 6,300, 21st of January it was 4,500. उस टाइप की फ्यूरियसनेस नहीं है. तो ऑब्वियसली बाय दैट सिनेरियो इफ वी गो मोस्ट लाइकली इस बार की करेक्शन जो है दैट माइट एंड अराउंड द 15,000 मार्क. ऑब्वियसली मैं ये भी बोल दे रहा हूं कि डाटा चेंजेस आई विल चेंज. ऐसा नहीं कि आप हमको 2 साल बाद अचानक सड़क पे देखे. आप पेटीएम वाले तो मेरा तस्वीर भी सामने छापी दिया है. 2 साल बाद आप सड़क पे देखे, अरे सर को पकड़ो सर जी हम तो वेट कर रहे हैं 15,000 के लिए तो अभी तक आया नहीं. वेल आई हैव द राइट टू बी रॉन्ग. That's a disclaimer. 15,000 आने से सोचेंगे फिर क्या किया जाए. बोलिए, दिस इज
Yeah.
प्राइमरी ट्रेंड.
Yeah, this is a nice disclaimer also. Okay, anyway, sir, you are talking about trend. So इसमें आपने प्राइमरी ट्रेंड के बारे में बताया, बट इस पे और एक अपने ट्रेंड के बारे में एक बताया था, इंटरमीडिएट टर्म ट्रेंड. Can you please
या
give some more insight about this? How can we recognize this trend?
टेक्नीशियन बहुत सिंपल है, ऊपर जा रही है तो ऊपर, नीचे जा रही है तो नीचे. लेट्स टेक इट दिस वे. बट लेट्स टेक इट दिस वे. इफ यू टेक बाय डाउ थ्योरी, वेल देखिए सबसे बड़ी बात है, लेट्स टेक इट दिस वे. इन निफ्टी वी हैड a top on 19th of October. From there, we had a bottom, swing low on 28th of December. So this we can term as intermediate term downtrend. From 28th of December, it had gone up to 18th, on the higher side, it had gone till 18th of January. वो भी एक महीना की हुई. Well, that was an intermediate term uptrend. From 18th January, उसमें war भी included है. Obviously, till 8th of March, आपकी downtrend चली थी. I'll be going on the value side also, but these are the basic things. From 8th of March to 4th of April, an uptrend. From 4th of April till इस बार अभी तक जो low हुई है 12th of May, you can say it. 12th of May तक एक downtrend थी. That was an intermediate term downtrend. Well, इसकी recognition बहुत important है. First of all, how this particular thing is defined. ये कितने महीना की होती है या कितने week की होती है? According to our market, a primary uptrend generally lasts for 1.5 to 2 years. This is primary. And the intermediate term in between generally lasts from 3 weeks to 3 months. Now you can say 3 weeks is 21 days, 3 months is 90 days. Which way? क्या होगा? मैंने ये तो बहुत बड़ा range बोल दे रहा है. If my intermediate term trend is up, most likely the uptrends will be lasting 2.5 months. That is from from August 2nd or 3rd, if I believe, from August 2nd of, rather it was 28th of July. From 28th of July till 19th of October, that was almost, कितने दिन हो रही है? 80 odd days, I believe. That was an uptrend, strong intermediate term uptrend. Because primary trend भी उस समय up थी, intermediate term trend भी उस समय up थी. तो ये दोनों अपट्रेंड जब होती है, इसकी ड्यूरेशन जो है वो काफी बढ़ जाती है. अभी की स्विंग्स अगर लीजिएगा तब ये काफी घटा हुआ है. जैसे द लास्ट अपट्रेंड व्हिच वी विटनेस्ड वाज फ्रॉम 8th of March to 4th of April, हार्डली अ मंथ. नीचे की स्विंग कंपैरेटिवली इज हायर, दैट इज फ्रॉम 4th of April to 9th or 12th of May. So this way, swing wise, you should recognize, duration wise, you can recognize the intermediate term trend first. Second, what are the ways to recognize it? आपको गैप्स वगैरह मिलता ही है. जैसे देखिए, अगर I don't know how many of you are having charts in front of you, how many of your listeners are having this chart and all, because that will be quite fun if anybody has. Anyway,
we are having ready with charts.
Now let's take one particular example like State Bank. State Bank had an intermediate sort of an uptrend from first week of March to April first week. Okay. Now, was there in the last 3 days, you had an exhaustion gap as well as a breakout gap. Well, breakout gap confirms that an intermediate term change has taken place. I'm showing you the example of SBI because it's quite easy to locate. We'll be coming back to Nifty, then we'll discuss that. Likewise, filling up of exhaustion gap, which exhaustion gap took place on 7th of March, filling up of that exhaustion gap or crossing over by close, that says intermediate term trend may have changed, a fresh trend may begin. ये भी एक तरह की आप recognition कर सकते हैं. Based on this, if I go to Nifty, you just watch, there was a gap on 6th of April. और ये ब्रेकडाउन गैप है, बिकॉज देखिए अगर 6th of April के जस्ट पिछले दिन तक की हम बात करें तो वी कैन से दैट द ट्रेंड वाज अप. ब्रेकडाउन गैप रिवर्स द ट्रेंड. सो द इंटरमीडिएट टर्म ट्रेंड नाउ went to the other side and that was a sell signal. Sell signal means intermediate term trend doesn't say a sell signal. It says that we are headed downwards. Okay. So we discussed two things. One is the breakout gap. The other one is the exhaustion. Sorry, we will be discussing the exhaustion gap. What is the exhaustion gap? Suppose if we have a downtrend and a strong downtrend is on, we get a gap. Like if you say in Nifty, we got a gap on somewhere around, I think, 7th of March. That gap was filled on the basis of close. When that gap is filled on the basis of close, we can say an intermediate term trend has reversed. Okay, it's too technical, and I'm telling it to you, telling it without the charts. Obviously, some of you might be finding it boring, those who are not into technicals, but that's the only way I can explain it.
Gautamji, I'm following. We are following with the chart.
Okay. Yeah. Now, these are one of the ways of understanding it. The second way, what I would be doing it is a breakout failure. That's another very important thing. If you again take the chart of Nifty, daily chart of Nifty, वहां पे गौर कीजिएगा 24 फरवरी को एक लो बनाई थी आफ्टर द रशिया यूक्रेन अटैक न्यूज. Now that particular low was violated by close on 7th of March. But very short, within very 2 or 3, 4, 5 days time, that low of 24th February was broken out. So on 9th of March, you can say, जब पिछले बार की जो ब्रेकडाउन हुई थी वो फेल कर गई है. That means the trend may have changed for the upside. This is called as a change in intermediate term trend. Well, ये तो तीन वी जो कि हम लोग प्राइस एक्शन से देख सकते हैं. Other than that, you can take moving averages of any short-term moving averages of your choice. Study the slope, and if the slope is up, slope has changed, you can expect that the trend has changed, but the slope that is usually late in nature, वो सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ द इंटरमीडिएट ट्रेंड में हम लोग को ज्यादा मदद करती है, फर्स्ट पार्ट में उतना नहीं करती है. विल कम टू दैट लेटर, बट दिस इज द बेसिक्स on which we recognize of the intermediate term trend.
Gautam, that's intermediate is fine, but as FNO traders, we primarily look for very short-term trends.
Right.
So how do you look at short-term trends, and what kind of time frame do you ideally should be looked at for short-term trends?
See, first of all, it's very essential. If you want to get the best results are obtained when all the three trends are in sync. That is the primary, intermediate, and the short term. Well, I would say that's not always possible, but at least look at the short term trend along with the intermediate term trend. So if the intermediate term trend is up, you look out for short term uptrend. If the intermediate term trend is down, you look out for short term downtrends. That gives you the best result. Okay.
For short term, for intermediate also, just if you can just along with the short term, for intermediate also, if you can just share with us the ideal number of candlesticks, ideal time frame of the candlesticks.
I don't go by the candlesticks. Actually, basically the purpose by looking at the chart. See, I would say it this way. By looking at the charts, I should realize that in very short run, on the left-hand side, who is the winner? Is it the bull or the bear? That's the best way to, let's take it this way. You open, if we go into the chart of, say, Bank Nifty, and just tell me in last 4 or 5 trading sessions, who is winner as per today's closing price? You will say, okay, the bulls are winning. Well, in that case, it's intermediate term uptrend. Even yesterday at close, it was clear that the bulls are winning in the short term. So I can say that we are in an intermediate term uptrend. If you see the charts of Bank Nifty right now, I would say all the bears who are short from 6th of May right now are losing. So it is an intermediate uptrend. Okay, now this you can find out in 2 days, this you can find out in 7 days, whatever bit, but just on the left hand side you should be able to recognize that, and that's only on the basis of without using any tools, just by the basis of candles. If you ask me about Nifty, well, Today was the first day where you could confirm that lots of bears are in trouble. Just looking at today's candle, and today's candle was a very comparatively very small candle. It opened gap up. It was a very small candle, comparative to the other days, obviously. बट आज की कैंडल आपको क्लियर यहाँ पे दिखा रही है कि वेल एटलीस्ट ऑल द बियर्स आफ्टर 9th में हैड दे नॉट क्लोज देयर पोजीशन, आज के डेट में वो लॉस में खड़ा है. This thing can happen in 2 days time. This thing can happen in 3 days time. Candle की study says, just take it this way. You go back to 9th of March. On 9th of March itself, it was saying, it was screamingly saying that the bears are in trouble. We are in an intermediate term uptrend. We are not even looking at the moving averages for that purpose, not even looking at any other swings. Just the candle itself is telling you. Got it?
Yes, and even on Monday, like it breached the weekly high, so that also gave a sign that maybe the trend might change.
See, idea here is that you are also almost the same line. Breaching weekly high means last week not a single bear is winning since last week. So that itself is an indication, is it not? If
Yes,
we are closing, if we are closing at weekly high, I can safely say that from Monday to Friday, each and every bull is a winner, each and every bear is a loser. So we are in an uptrend. Khatam. Make it that simple.
Peter?
Yeah. Right. I was checking that chart. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Gautamji, you have mentioned along with this trend, you have mentioned about the short-term trend also, right? So, how to catch that short-term trend? Can you please explain?
Yeah, short-term. See, one thing is that whenever price moves up or down, there is a tendency to move a little more than it should have moved. Okay, just take it this way, the momentum takes it along. Now it needs to revert back. That's called as mean reversion. So obviously in an uptrend of 30 days or 50 days, or even when the primary trend is up, we have an uptrend of say 2 to 2.5 months. After every 2, 3 or 4 days, you will find that the prices try to revert back to a very short-term average. Now that short-term average can be a 9-day simple moving average. That short-term average can be a say 13-day simple moving average. कुछ भी आप ले लीजिए, बट शॉर्ट टर्म लीजिए, उस शॉर्ट टर्म पर आए, वापस वहां पर स्टेबलाइज करे. वो स्टेबिलिटी कैसे देखेंगे? That we can see it from the 30-minute chart, 60-minute chart, or if you are comfortable with 5, 15 or whatever bit, from those type of intraday charts, you can say that okay, अभी के लिए जो 2-3 दिन से जो करेक्शन हो रही थी वो ओवर होगी, अब जो है कि वो 2-3 दिन फिर से ऊपर चलेगी, तो उसमें अपने को बैठना है. So in that case, क्या हो रही है कि you are never trading the short-term trend, which is not in sync with the intermediate-term trend. You are always trading in the direction of the intermediate-term trend. That is very important. Like let's say it this way, that if you say intermediate-term trend of Bank Nifty is up, from tomorrow, particularly the way the momentum had begun from this 12:45 onwards, you tell me how many traders in short term, those who had gone short in Bank Nifty, had made money. Instead, on the other side, even a weak trader who had gone long in Bank Nifty, they had made money because they are trading in the direction of intermediate term uptrend, even though they are playing in a short term uptrend. That is very important. So, and one more thing ये भी बोल दे रहा है कि जब भी हम शॉर्ट टर्म मूविंग एवरेज यूज करेंगे, शॉर्ट टर्म मूविंग एवरेज की वैल्यूज से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट होती है शॉर्ट टर्म मूविंग एवरेज की स्लोप. और मूविंग एवरेज की स्लोप के बारे में जस्ट द वे अर्नब गोस्वामी स्क्रीम्स ऑन टीवी, आई एम आल्सो स्क्रीमिंग यू राइट अवे, नेवर एवर यूज EMA, ऑलवेज यूज SMA, क्योंकि दैट हैज गॉट इट्स ओन इम्प्लीकेशन. SMA और EMA में, SMA आपको नेचुरल वे में स्लोप जो दिखाती है, दैट इज वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अ ट्रेडर. Go ahead.
Yes. Somehow, in my starting career in trading, I personally, tried, but EMA somehow never, suited my style. So
Okay.
good to hear that you are also in favor of SMA.
या एंड एब्सोल्यूट देखिए एक चीज और भी है देखिए यहाँ पे ट्रेडर्स मेंटेलिटी मैटर कर जाती है आई एम नॉट अ ट्रेडर हु कैन गो बाय एब्सोल्यूट शॉर्ट टर्म मैंने आधा दिन की मंदी है उसमें भी हम आधा दिन के लिए ट्रेड कर देंगे एक दिन की मंदी है उसमें भी ट्रेड कर लेंगे आई वुड प्रेफर टू वेट फॉर द साइडलाइंस लाइक very short term traders like Ashit Baran Papi, you must have heard of him. Shubhadeep Nandi, you must have heard of him. They are masters of short term trading. I'm not that type of master. हो गया थोड़ा बूढ़ा भी हो गया 55 56 odd years हो गया I am very happy एक ट्रेड लिए cool 2 दिन चला 2.5 दिन चला it might be in future whatever wait but idea here is that I will wait for the intermediate term trend to be in sync with the short term trend then only I will take the trade.
So, Dada, do you mostly buy or sell options? What do? You mostly buy options or sell options? What's your style?
See, there are two. ऐसा कर सकते हैं, ये कर सकते हैं. I've got two styles basically. One is I take positional trades when everything is okay, and that is in futures. Sometimes I hold it for almost a week in profit, not in loss. When in loss, I just get out. Okay. The second one is going in, testing waters in options, obviously when the Greeks permit. वो भी क्या होती है कि with a definite stop loss. Let's take it this way that I buy an option at 50, have a stop loss 10 rupees down, 40. बीच में हमको कहीं लग रहा है कि डेटा चेंज हो जा रही है, हटाओ. It might be 45 in that time. I won't even wait for the stop loss to wait. So I'll be totally driven by the data in that time. It happens on the upside also. Say I bought it at 50, I'm expecting okay 80 चली जाएगी, 90 चली जाएगी, but somewhere at 55, 56 ना कुछ गड़बड़ है. चल भैया पहले निकल जाओ उसके बाद देखेंगे. Now what happens is there are some places when 2 and 2 is equal to 4 and everything is clicking just in magically. In that time I just say to myself माँ कसम मैं नहीं छोड़ूंगा. And I go for the kill. Just if you take it this way that these types of trades, if you say one trade I did in Reliance, that was on 17th of March, took the trade all along to 29th of March, took entire cream out of 17th or 21st of March, I don't recall. Full cream ko le liye because everything from the charts, from the indicators, everything clicked and I wrote the entire upside. Seeing that perhaps I was complacent, I shifted to Bajaj Finance. Well, that particular stock hit me. What happened was I took the trade on 29th or 38th of March. It went up till 4th of April. 5th April को जब देख रहे कि वो नीचे खुल रही है, नीचे जा रहा है बार बार, तो then I had to exit. और उसमें और भी क्या किए थे कि जो भी लोडिंग किए थे, फ्रंट लोडिंग was done on मैंने मेजर तरीका से लोडिंग was done by me. On 1st of April, in fact, I got a belated April Fool on, and obviously on 5th of April, I had to come out. But these types of trade, I do take even, I believe, towards the beginning of May expiry. Nifty was at around 17,100. It was below all the moving averages. It was just making a flag or a pennant. हमको देख के लग रहा था यहाँ पे 200 पॉइंट की मैक्सिमम होगी तो 150-200 पॉइंट की स्टॉप लॉस होगी नीचे की बहुत बड़ा खुला हुआ है. इन दैट डाउन साइड ऑल्सो आई वेंट हॉक शॉर्ट एकदम बुरी तरह से एकदम भयंकर तरीका से शॉर्ट गए थे. आई टुक आउट द एंटायर क्रीम देयर. तो वो आई हैव टू वेट फॉर दैट अपॉर्चुनिटी. आई कांट एक्सपेक्ट दैट एवरी डे सम ट्रेड विल कम. इवन यस्टरडे द सिग्नल्स वर वेरी क्लियर. 12:45 पूरे रिवर्सल हो रही है. अपने जो भी स्ट्रेटजीज वगैरह फॉलो करते हैं वो दिखा के लॉन्ग बढ़ा रही है. बट स्टिल वो मोमेंटम या मेंटेलिटी वगैरह जो भी बोलिए, माइंडसेट बोलिए, जो भी कारण की ठीक है ली है निकल गया, बट नॉट दैट वो गस्टो वाला फीलिंग लेके जो लेना था वो नहीं ले पाए. कभी कभी उस जगह पे once in a month और once in 2 months उस टाइप की ट्रेड अपनी निकल जाती है, अपना रोटी गुजर जाता है. दैट्स ऑल. बहुत ज्यादा लालच नहीं है.
राइट. ग्रेट. गौतम जी, आपने मेंशन किया कि ऑप्शन बाइंग के बारे में एंड आपने एग्जांपल भी दिया कि बजाज फाइनेंस एंड अनदर रिलायंस, आपने क्या किया था? तो ये बाइंग, ऑप्शन बाइंग करने के टाइम पे आपको सर्टेन स्टॉक के ऊपर फोकस करता है कि नहीं, एनी लाइक ओनली निफ्टी 50 और सम लाइक देयर आर मे बी 190 स्टॉक्स, राइट? जो एफ&ओ में काफी स्टॉक्स है, सब स्टॉक पे करता है? और सेकंड क्वेश्चन इज अलोंग विद दिस, एनी सेक्टर के ऊपर भी आप ध्यान देते हैं कि चलो ये सेक्टर अच्छा चल रहा है तो ये सेक्टर में ये बेस्ट परफॉर्मिंग है, उसको ही मुझे पिक करना है, ऐसा कुछ सोचता है क्या?
देखिए, सेक्टर के बारे में अगर बोलेंगे तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सेक्टर फेवरेट मैटर कम्स अप इन बुल मार्केट, and in the bear market we hardly fail to recognize it. Like I too missed out on the trading because of some of my health issues in my family. Mahindra and Mahindra, you watch Hero Honda, you watch TVS Motor, rather the auto sector as a whole, even before the Nifty bottomed out this time, and much before that, auto sector had started to perform. So this sector performance, sector बोल सकते हैं इस तरह से, सेक्टर वाली बात जो है वो always bull market की तरफ में it works and helps in a major way. Like if you talk about a little back history, in the month of August, July, August, I had mentioned it also in Twitter much ahead of it, that IT sector might be outperforming. It outperformed in the month of August, September 2021. It again outperformed in the month of December, January 21 and 22. Well, उसके बाद वो अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो मार्केट हैज अ टेंडेंसी टू फ्लर्ट बोलिए या टेंडेंसी टू रोमांस बोलिए, कुछ भी बोलिए, बट मार्केट नेवर हैज अ इंटेंशन ऑफ मैरिंग अ सेक्टर. तो वो साइकिल जब तक चलती है उसके परहैप्स द क्राउड इज लेफ्ट विद द बेबी. Then well, you know what happened to the IT sector post January. But all the same, this sector matters a lot. When you can catch a sector, ride that particular sector for a month or two, nothing like it.
ओके, वाओ. तो इसके साथ और एक क्वेश्चन आपको पूछना चाहता हूँ, एक स्टॉप लॉस के बारे में. आप अभी एंट्री कर दिया तो स्टॉप लॉस क्या आप अंडरलाइन के हिसाब से आप रखता है कि नहीं, लाइक ऑप्शन का प्रीमियम के हिसाब से रखता है? एंड इन केस स्टॉक मूवमेंट ही नहीं हुआ, तरीके होते रहते हैं, ये टाइम पे कैसा आप मैनेज करते हैं इसको?
पहली बात है कि ट्रेड मैं अगर 11 बजे ट्रेड लिया हूं, एंड दैट टू सपोज आई हैव अ फीलिंग दैट ओके आई विल बी कीपिंग इट फॉर 4-5 days, द फर्स्ट डे itself should tell you that your trade is not working. तो whatever be your stop loss, even if it's not hit, okay, एक बार निकल जाएंगे, कल सोचेंगे. This is my general tendency, and I might be wrong. There are many places where I have missed out the trade just because of this. ये पहला दिन परफॉर्म नहीं किया, हम निकल गए, अगले दिन देख रहे हैं. And these are the route decisions which I take usually after 3 p.m. When the market is about to close. ये आज perform नहीं किया, हटा दो. Next day it performs very well, can't help it. लेकिन more or less, if the thing clicks, initially I keep a stop loss of around, in case of options, buying obviously, around 20 to 25%. I'm comfortable, more or less comfortable there. It's not that why 20, why 25, I'm more or less comfortable there. And in case of futures, well, I prefer 1.5 to 2% stop loss. And in that time, I do take other trades so that this deep stop loss is somehow encountered from other profits. So this is the way I do it. And obviously there are rules जो कि तोड़ने के लिए भी है, तोड़ने पर पनिशमेंट भी होती है, और रूल्स कभी कभी अपने बेनिफिट में आ जाती है तोड़ने के लिए. It's a mixture, but this is the basic general rule I follow.
Okay. So do you watch open interest as well, especially for the index?
Obviously, एक criminal जो है कभी भी try नहीं करता.
How do you analyze it? Like,
Yeah,
you know, 16,000 was very clear the last few days.
Yeah.
But still, for the audience,
I will tell it this way. Yeah. You were saying something, say?
So, how would you analyze it? What is your way of analyzing it?
See, let's take it this way. When a crime is committed, the criminal can hide himself in various ways. He just wears a contact lens, the eyeballs color change. He can change his walking style, or even he can change his hairs. मेरे जैसा टकला हो गया. What he cannot change is his height. If he is 5'9", he will remain as 5'9". So detectives generally focus what can be the height of a criminal. They can't change, the criminal can't change the height. Likewise, an institution can change anything, but they cannot change the volume and the open interest in which they traded. They have to trade in large quantities. So any major change in open interest, and this I'm talking about the futures side, any major change in open interest in futures is an indication that a big player either has entered into the trade or exited from the trade. Now let's take the example of this one. Last 2 दिन का क्या हुआ जो कि हम लोग परसों से हो रही है. Nifty's open interest was continuously increasing in a major way. And I had pointed out that if Nifty's open interest is increasing in a major way, bigger players are coming into the picture. When bigger players are coming into the picture, I'm not saying that they are short or they are long. Obviously, there are two groups. A group is short, another group is long, and only one of the group will win. So who is the winner? Well, let me watch which way the index or the stock moves after the creation of open interest. Now, this time it moved up. Obviously, I'll be taking that well. The big players, here by big players, I mean the sensible players, they were on the long side and they intend to take the market up. So this way you can watch out the open interest in futures. Like even during first week of May, first week of May, open interest was reducing drastically. Say 5th May to 12th or 12th of May, I believe. Open interest was reducing drastically. What does it indicate? Well, the market was falling. The bulls were throwing in the towel. Bulls लोग अपना हार मान रहा है, and bears who were winning, they had the position जे lower levels में चलो भैया आप cover भी कर ले. तो when the bears are covering, the bulls are throwing in the towel. तो भैया लड़ाई जो थी उसकी रिजल्ट निकल गई, बुल लोग हार गया, बेयर लोग जीत गया, मामला खत्म, खेल खत्म. तो इसलिए ओपन इंटरेस्ट भी जो है कि वो घट गया, जितना घटना था घट गया. अब इंतजार कीजिए फिर से लड़ाई कब शुरू हो रही है. तो you have to take up the open interest that way. Another incident which occurred during just before the war of Russia and Ukraine, Bank Nifty had a huge open interest build-up. It was at a 10-year high or something of that type. What was it? It was actually a hedge from any untoward incident which may come up in stock market in due course of time because of the war. Now, well, when the panic subsided, this same open interest was found to be on the short side, and when the market from 8th of March till 4th of April moved up, they had no other way. I'm talking about the institutions here. The creation was not by individual, the 10 years high open interest in bank. So the institutions had to square off their long trade at a short trade at a higher price. The entire mass, the market moved up. These guys, even the big players, I would say here, the big players was on the wrong foot. Here it's not on the wrong foot. Rather, they had huge portfolio, and obviously to hedge that portfolio, they were short.
It was a price of hedge, cost of hedge, basically.
It was a cost of hedge which they had to pay in a way. Yes. Yeah, Shankar.
Great. Yes. So, in your opinion, is the bear market over or it will still be on for some time?
In my opinion, is the bear market over or might go on for some more time? Okay. Let me share the good news. In India, unlike IPL, bear market does not go on forever. Okay. I would look at the 100-week SMA. It's not that I may be wrong, but till date, whenever we had this 20% type of a correction, generally 100-week SMA had been strong support.
Yes, it's a support.
So right now the 100-week SMA is at around 15,000, which corresponds to the 20% thing which we were talking about, the primary downtrend in the initial part of the interview. So those are the places where I can expect. Well, there are exceptions, but as I told you, had it been exception, we would have been bowled out by now. ऐसा नहीं कि 8 महीना बाद भी we are still hovering at around 14, 15 or 18% level from the top. By this time, अब जितना होना था हो गया होता. So that's why I expect perhaps at around the 100 week might be a bottom might be made. उसके बाद ऊपर भी कितना जाएगी नहीं जाएगी उस पर भी खैर वो बाद में देखेंगे, वो बात पहले तो ये बॉटम हो उसके बाद देखेंगे। बट अगेन अ डिस्क्लेमर, प्लीज 2 साल बाद मत पकड़िएगा ये भैया हम 15,000 के लिए वेट कर रहे थे तो हम खरीद लिए। खुद कीजिए, खुद स्टडी कीजिए। दैट्स अ मेजर डिस्क्लेमर आई ऑलवेज से।
गौतम जी, अभी अपने हमने ये ट्रेंड बॉटम आउट हो रहा है कि क्या हम लोग बात कर रहे थे। अभी मान लीजिए कि ये बॉटम आउट हो रहा है, तो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ स्टॉक्स वी शुड पिक फॉर नियर टर्म ट्रेडिंग और लॉन्ग टर्म ट्रेडिंग?
Well, I would say it this way. I would pick up those stocks which have been least damaged by the carnage which is going on for the last 6 months. Stocks which are right now perhaps in this swing, and we might be getting some in this particular upside swing. Any stocks which are hitting new 52-week high or beating the index as such, those will be the stock. Like I told you about M&M, Ashok Leyland and all, they did have a good run altogether in the last 2-3 weeks. And every time, as I told you in the sector discussion, that every time a sector is in play, normally the sectors are for 2-3 months, not more than that. So you have to be on alert. ऐसा मत कीजिए कि जो स्टॉक बहुत गिर गया उसको फिर से उठा ले, मेरा एवरेज हो जाएगा। यार भैया हम कोफोर्स 5,000 में खरीदे थे, आज 3,000 की भाव। आई डोंट नो, आई डोंट इवन ट्रैक कोफोर्स दैट वे, बट व्हाटएवर वी डोंट गो फॉर दिस बीटन डाउन स्टॉक्स दैट दे विल समहाउ रिलीव यू। उस टाइप की मत कीजिएगा। Go in for those which have least fallen or have been least affected in the carnage. In the long run, perhaps उस समय हम लोग रिलायंस वगैरह ये सब में भी जा सकते हैं। But one thing is there, I would certainly like to avoid some stocks which, due to fall, general public is rushing to buy. SDFC Bank and stocks like that. Certainly they find it cheap. It has outperformed for the last 20 years. It will outperform. Every person, Tom, Dick and Harry down the line is buying SDFC Bank. I don't know, I might be wrong, man. I wish those who have bought, they get money. But personally, I will be adding that to my portfolio.
So as a trader...
Yeah, there's one more thing. Just as a disclaimer, there's one more thing I should add here. Whatever I just told you, you should not add the pharma and the FMCG sector in this list because they have their own cycle of movement. If you watch ITC, it hardly fell during the bear market. But all the same, it doesn't mean that in the next bull market, ITC will outperform. FMCG and pharma, they have their own cycle. Beyond that, you think beyond that, something beyond that. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Gautam ji, before we are running out of time now, but before ending this session, I would like to ask one last question. Maybe after that, Shankar may ask one. How should a trader manage his risk, or how you manage your risk? Maybe that will be a great learning for all the listeners. So, can you please explain how you manage your risk?
Manage my risk. Well, to be honest, I wish I knew the answer perfectly.
Okay.
Very thing is that the best form of risk management, I personally believe, is if you can reduce your volume. No matter what spreads you carry, has some risk. And well, the losses are reduced certainly, but the profit is also reduced. And I say it this way, say suppose a person comes and say, I'm doing this trade, I've taken this trade, and so my maximum losses will be 100 rupees. This is the spread which I have taken. I just say, okay, fine, you have taken this spread and 100 rupees is your loss. I'll be reducing my volume so that my max loss is 100 rupees. So that's much better than going in, ट्रेड बढ़ा के ये करेंगे वो करेंगे। अरे भैया कम वॉल्यूम रहने से अपना कम से कम ब्लड प्रेशर तो ठीक रहेगा, हम उसी पे शांति रहता है मेरा। और हाँ,
एवरेजिंग के बारे में क्या करना है आपको? एवरेजिंग बहुत सारे लोग एवरेजिंग करते हैं। लाइक मार्केट गिर रहा है, चलो और एवरेजिंग करे। अपना ट्रेड 1 लॉट लिया, चलो 2 लॉट और ऐड कर देते हैं। स्टॉप लॉस के पास ही तो है, 1-2 लॉट और ऐड कर लेते हैं।
हाँ, तो ये कीजिए ना, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। जस्ट लाइक सपोज इफ यू गो टू अ फिश मार्केट एंड द फिश सेलर sells you some stale fish, you go back to the fish seller again and tell him, यार तुम कम दाम में दो, एवरेज करेंगे हम, लेकिन वही सड़ी हुई मछली ही लेंगे, एवरेज तो हो गया। इट्स अ वेरी फिल्दी आइडिया व्हिच शुड नेवर डू। हैव अ स्टॉप लॉस, गेट आउट ऑफ इट. एफएनओ में तो करना ही नहीं चाहिए. भले ही इन्वेस्टमेंट में आप फंस गए हो, कभी इन द लॉन्ग रन आप सोच रहे हो कि नहीं 3 4 6 8 साल रखेंगे, तब ठीक है, फिर भी सोच सकते हो. सिस्टमैटिक इन्वेस्टमेंट प्लान इज ऑल अबाउट एवरेजिंग, इज इट नॉट? But never in FNO where the trading time period is very small in nature, 3 4 days as a max. फ्यूचर में भी मैं तो अपने खुद बोलता हूँ कि फ्यूचर में अगर 5 दिन 7 दिन एक ट्रेड रख दिया तो वो बहुत है, पर्टिकुलरली ऑन द प्रॉफिट साइड, नॉट ऑन द लूजिंग साइड. लूजिंग साइड उसी दिन निकाल देंगे. सो उसमें एवरेजिंग की जगह नहीं है अंडर एनी सर्कमस्टेंसेस.
One question, like just this is because we were talking about a bit long-term trend also, which might change, and अभी market वापस bull run की तरफ जा सकता है, and we discussed about some stocks to pick up and some sectors to pick up. For audience, actually, sometimes it becomes very difficult to do a proper stock picking. आज के डेट में ETFs are there, exchange traded funds are there, which are sectoral ETFs are also there. So instead of picking up stocks, we can look at picking up those sectors. So which are the sectoral ETFs or sectors you think are good, which is going to be the future for the next bull run, which will take us?
Somewhere I would say it this way, I can't name you any stock in particular, but somewhere down the line, EV will play out. Electric.
I'm talking about sectors. So we can pick up the ETFs, or if we're talking about mid caps, when we have mid cap M150.
That's what I'm telling. That's what I'm telling. Somewhere down the line, the environment side and the EV side, that's the electric vehicle side, will play a role. Perhaps you can look into those companies which are into it. Well, I'm not a investor in that category. Normally, my investing is just one-sided, and my daughter and wife handles it, and I'm not supposed to get the password also. But I think somewhere down the line, these are the sectors which might be quite upcoming. The environment side, particularly those working on the environment, that's a serious problem which we are going to face in coming, I think, next 4-5 years. So that might be a place to work out for.
Great. Peter, you have any questions?
No, Shankar. We can end this.
Okay. So, audience, I hope you enjoyed the discussion today. So, when we spoke about the momentum specifically, we started off with the long term, then the intermediate and the short term. And we discussed somewhere, when we speak about long term, somewhere you have to bring in investments as well. So we learned about, from Gautam, we learned about many stuffs, like how you can actually put your stop losses, like he is not comfortable beyond 25%. His indicators are very simple. And I think that helps him make very fast decisions. These are some of the learning points, and especially for people who love averaging, he gave a very nice example of the stale fish. So I think I will remember this example and for my entire life as an investor and trader. So before we end, a small disclaimer to all of us, like investment in stock market is subject to market risk. Please all relevant documents carefully before investing. Check your risk appetite. Do good knowledge about and backtest your strategies before investing. So thank you, Gautam, for coming us and enlightening us with all your knowledge.
It was nice talking to you. Thank you. Thanks a lot to our audience who had patience enough to hear to my blah, blah, blah and all. All the best, all of you. Bye.
Thank you, Gautam, for your time.
Thank you, Gautam. Thank you, Shankar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, all of you lovely audience, for being here, taking out time and coming to our FNO Pe Charcha. Hope this FNO Pe Charcha did enlighten you, like it did enlighten me. Thank you, Harsh. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, all of you lovely audience, and have a great weekend ahead. All the best.